Noticed how a single question can make you feel suddenly small? Not a scream, not an insult, just a soft line delivered with a smile. And something inside you folds. If that just made your stomach drop, I'm talking to you. Maybe it was a partner who asked, "Why are you being so sensitive?" Maybe it was a boss who leaned back and whispered, "You trust me, right?" Maybe it was a friend who tilted their head and said, "Can't we just move on?" You felt cornered, but you couldn't explain why. So you apologized. You doubted yourself. You handed over the steering wheel of your mind. This video is the moment you take it back. Today, I'll walk you through 5 questions manipulators use to control you, how each one works on your psychology, what the philosophers warned us about centuries ago, and what to say instead. And yes, we'll confront an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the manipulator is not out there. Sometimes it's the voice inside your own head. Breathe. You're safe here. Let's begin. Question 1. Why are you being so sensitive? On the surface, it pretends to care. Underneath, it smuggles a verdict. The problem is you. Psychologically, this primes you for EQ, self-gaslighting. You start editing your perception to keep the peace. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Manipulators weaponize that line against you. See? You're imagining things. But Seneca's point wasn't to dismiss your perception. It was to free you from unnecessary fear so you can face what's real. Sensitivity isn't fragility, it's early detection. Plato might have called it the first glimpse out of the cave, your eyes adjusting to the light. A Stoic response is simple and steady. I'm not being sensitive, I'm being observant. That line returns the focus to the facts. If someone values truth, they'll welcome clarity. If they don't, they'll attack your awareness, because your awareness threatens their control. Here's the twist no one tells you. The voice that calls you too sensitive sometimes lives inside you. The voice that says, "Don't make it a big deal. Don't disrupt harmony. Keep quiet." That is not peace. That is self-abandonment dressed as maturity. Your discernment is not a flaw. It's a compass. Don't snap it in half just to keep the boat from rocking. Question 2. You trust me, right? Real trust is built in daylight. It doesn't need to be demanded in the dark. When someone asks this question during a moment that requires proof, they're not asking for trust, they're asking for blindness. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Manipulators exploit this by pressuring you to already know they're trustworthy. So you stop learning, stop checking, stop seeing. The antidote is calm and precise. Trust is earned through consistency. What would you like me to verify? This does 2 things. First, it honors trust as a process, not a gift. Second, it invites transparency. Anyone who's genuine will lean in. Anyone who isn't will flinch. Machiavelli observed that rulers prefer appearances to reality because appearances are easier to control. The modern manipulator does the same with trust. They cultivate the appearance of reliability, grand gestures, convenient timing, loud loyalty, while hiding the ledger. Don't judge trust by volume. Judge it by receipts. Question 3. Are you accusing me of something? This is a frame flip. Suddenly you're on trial for asking a question. Cognitively, it exploits your social fear of being seen as harsh, paranoid, or unfair. You rush to defend your kindness instead of pursuing the truth. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The best answer to anger is silence." In practice, silence means you refuse to enter the trap. Try this. Pause, breathe, count to 3 and say, "Should I be?" Then ask your original question again, clearly and specifically. Plato warned that sophistry, clever argument detached from truth, can win a crowd while losing reality. The point of this question isn't innocence, it's It distracts you long enough for the evidence to go cold. Here's where Nietzsche helps. He wrote about the masks we wear to survive. Not all masks are malicious, some are armor. But when someone's survival depends on you doubting yourself, the mask has become predatory. You can be compassionate and still ask for evidence. Compassion without boundaries is how you get erased. Question 4. Would I ever lie to you? It sounds wounded. It makes you feel cruel for doubting. But notice the logic. It asks you to evaluate the future by hoping apart about the past. That's not logic. That's theater. Daniel Kahneman would call this a cognitive shortcut. Your brain prefers the easier question, do I like them, over the harder one. Is there evidence right now? Liking feels like knowing, and that's how you get played. The clear response is, that's not the question. The question is, would I know if you did? Now you've shifted from sentiment to systems. Boundaries, transparency, verification. Bonhoeffer wrote about cheap grace, forgiveness offered without repentance or change. There is also cheap trust, reassurance offered without accountability. Don't pay full price for it. If someone is honest, scrutiny won't scare them. It will relieve them because honest people are tired of being mistaken for liars. Question 5. Can't we just move on? This is the fatigue play. When denial fails, they bet on your exhaustion. Psychologically, it taps your conflict-avoidant parts, your desire for peace, your fear of being the difficult one. But peace without truth is just quiet. And quiet can hide rot. Marcus said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. He did not add, unless it's awkward. Integrity isn't allergic to discomfort. Your line is steady and humane. I'll move on when I understand what happened. That's it. Not vengeance, not endless argument. Understanding. Because healing requires reality, not amnesia. And here's another hard turn. Sometimes you say this to yourself. You bury your own red flags in the name of moving forward. You promise you'll address it later, after the project, after the wedding, after the crisis, until your life is a museum of almost conversations. Moving on isn't maturity when it's really avoidance. Now, a deeper layer, the one most videos avoid. Manipulators don't only ask these questions. You ask them too, inside your head, when you're afraid of what the truth will cost. Why am I so sensitive? When your body is sounding an alarm. Can't I just move on? When your heart is begging for closure, not silence. Would I ever lie to myself? When the honest answer is yes, if it helps me keep what I'm afraid to lose. Philosophy isn't here to shame you. It's here to set you free. Plato invites you out of the cave. Nietzsche hands you the courage to look without flinching. Machiavelli warns you about appearances. Bonhoeffer reminds you that real conscience resists the crowd. And the Stoics teach you the muscle of calm, breath slow, words few, perception sharp. So how do you break the spell in real life? 1. Name the frame. That question shifts the focus to me. Let's stay with the facts. 2. Return to evidence. Show me the numbers. Let's check the messages. What changed between then and now? 3. Set a standard, not a threat. I don't do blind trust. I do transparent trust. 4. Use time wisely. We can pause this for an hour, but not bury it forever. 5. Stay humane and firm. Speak softly. Stand solid. You can be kind without being easy to mislead. A story. A woman notices her partner guarding his phone. When she asks about it, he says, "You're being paranoid." She almost apologizes, then remembers. Sensitivity is awareness. She says, "I'm not being sensitive. I'm being observant. Let's look together." He refuses. She doesn't scream. She doesn't beg. She repeats, "Trust for me includes transparency." A week later, the truth surfaces. Painful, yes. But she is no longer lost in fog. She grieves. She sets boundaries. She heals with reality, not fantasy. Another story. A young man at work finds discrepancies in a report. His manager smiles. "You trust me, right?" The old him would have folded. This time he answers, "I trust clear numbers. Let's review them." The room gets awkward. The numbers get checked. The company avoids a costly mistake, and the young man learns to love discomfort more than regret. You might be thinking, "What if I'm wrong?" Good. That humility protects you from becoming the tyrant you fear. The goal isn't to win, it's to see. If someone proves you wrong, thank them. You just bought more truth for the price of your pride. That's a bargain the wise make often. Let's end where manipulation begins, with emotion. Liars don't need better facts. They need you off balance. They borrow your guilt. They rent your fear. They purchase your silence with your longing to be liked. Take it back. All of it. Slow your breath. Return to what you know you saw, heard, felt. Ask for evidence. Offer your own. Stand still in the storm. If the other person values truth, you've just built a bridge. If they value control, you've just revealed it. Either way, you're free. Remember these lines. Use them exactly as written if you need to. I'm not being sensitive, I'm being observant. Trust is earned through consistency. What would you like me to verify? Should I be? That's not the question. The question is, would I know if you did? I'll move on when I understand what happened. Write them in your notes. Practice them out loud. Calm voice. Unshakable spine. Because the real power of a manipulative question is not in the person who asks it. It's in the person who answers. Choose clarity over comfort. Choose truth over appearances. Choose the kind of compassion that includes yourself. And if this reached you, if you felt seen, even uncomfortably, carry one sentence into your week. My peace will be built on reality. If that's you, type it below. Then breathe. You just took the wheel back.